Hello and welcome. And this episode will be just a simple message and a short episode. It won't be continuing the reading of The Power of Now. I'll perhaps continue that on another episode, but I was initially going to talk about just a couple of books that I have come across, and I wanted just to share the potential wisdom in those books. But then there is as I'm sure many of you have seen on the news, the murder of George Floyd. And I don't often stay completely up to date with the news, but this has been extremely widespread in regards to what's been happening there in America. And this morning I've seen more footage of not only the actual crime that took place, but the aftermath of it as well. Of course, there's protests, and on the news they may be showing some violence happening, but there are many peaceful protests happening as well. So I'm not sure if maybe that's something for you to have an opinion on what's being shown and exposed. But I saw this morning many videos of police assaulting protesters, and I saw one particular disturbing video of a man being shot in the face with, I'm not sure if it was a rubber bullet or some sort of bullet, and around the corner the police, this was shot on a mobile phone, on a cell phone, and the police were laughing around the corner. And so, stating the obvious there, that the murder of George Floyd, this is just, I can't remember the ex police officer's name who committed the murder, but he's almost, a face of the systemic problem of what's happening. And I won't talk about some of the practical things that can be done. There's much information out there about where to donate if you'd like to help, with George's Memorial Fund, and to charities to help in this way. And I've seen many posts on social media of practical things can be done to spread awareness, and so I just wanted to share just a very simple reminder on the spiritual side of what can be done. Because the simple matter of fact is, with all of these acts of violence against a certain race, a certain community, it's happening all over the world, and it comes down to you and me, us and them. The illusion, you could say the delusion of separation. If you were to unfold, or if you were to, for example, to have, some sort of mind map. At the end of the mind map would be, acts of violence, but if you go back on, layers, you would be able to unpeel and go all the way to the center of the delusion of separateness, of being separate from other people, from this universe. Mooji released a video, his response to what's happened in America, and I will link that in the description, because I feel it's, I could never, perhaps it's a lot clearer, his message, and what can be done and what we need to do together. And I sort of hesitated recording this because I was aware that perhaps I wouldn't be as clear as a lot of people are when they are spreading awareness and a message of action. But I thought if there's something small I could do, then if this reaches one person and gives them some assistance, then it's worth doing. And also, each episode I record, it's almost me learning myself, teaching myself, meditating with myself, and deepening myself. There's nothing here in a sense that I'm teaching. It's me, deepening my own experience and sharing that with anyone who's there to listen, and in essence doing it together. So perhaps there isn't big actions that can be taken. A lot of things can seem overwhelming when you look at the scale of this, especially if you're listening to this and you're living in America and you're experiencing this firsthand of what's happening there. But in some ways there is no small action, even if it was just leading by example of your own peaceful way of being. Sharing these teachings with others, whether it's recommending books, sharing videos of actual spiritual teachers, as well as directly acting with the current situation in America. Perhaps I would say to act from your center. This is not to say you have to be passive, but acting from your center means you're connecting to that which is infinitely more intelligent than the mind. So you may have an urge to take action to help create change. And yes, you can act out of anger and upset, but perhaps it won't be as effective if you act from your center. That's not to say not to express the feelings you have, to allow what comes up when reflecting upon what's happened. And then maybe on a bigger scale, on a larger, bigger picture, when it comes to your spiritual practice, you can perhaps include others. And it's not a case of preaching to people as well. There's almost a fine line, and often each person has their own frequency. You can kind of meet them at their frequency. Even someone who's not religious, or not you may look down on spirituality. You may just think, oh, there's nothing here. This person, they may live their life on the horizontal level, on the surface. They may not have experienced a depth, and it's almost a case of just pointing or uncovering what is already there. There's no need to convince people of the peace that they are. It's an uncovering of it, and often that can happen in a conversation, or, as I said, it can be seen by your own actions. And it seems like, the eradication of violence will come down to a change of consciousness. Yes, there are many things that can be done to do what we can to stem the violence, to create understanding, to educate, but ultimately the root will come down to a change of consciousness, people awakening to themselves of who they are. And that can be done in extremely small steps, of sharing a book with somebody, and even smaller than that, just again beginning with yourself, because who's to say what we do ourselves, what is the ripples of that later on. So it may feel like, you're not doing anything to help, but if you are only able to, to deepen yourself and to start there, maybe you're in a place where you're not able to have any outward or practical actions at the moment to what's happening. That's okay as well. So for me personally, the only energy I have available to me was to simply put out this audio and to talk about George and what happened to end his life. And I watched as well as watching many people posting clips of police officers breaking the law, committing, assault on citizens. As I saw a video of a young black girl. I don't know if she was in some sort of government building, but there was lots of press around her, and she was talking about how much it hurts to be treated differently. And I think it was on USA Today. David Blaine posted on his Instagram account the clips from that, and the message was so pure and so simple. It was so it was so easy to see where, I guess it's hard to explain, but maybe it's so easy to see maybe the complete ludicrousy of what's happening right now, the treatment of humans to other humans. I mean, it's all around the world, even today, slavery happening, human trafficking, many examples of. And if you unpeel those layers, it comes down to the lack of consciousness in somebody, the unconscious behavior, those being unconnected, disconnected from their true self. And their true self is not just a body or mind. True self is something much deeper that can't be explained in words. It can be pointed to. It's beyond the senses. Yeah, so apologies that this audio makes me a little bit more unclear, and it's just it's absolutely a lot to take in to witness what's happening right now. And I think there was somebody in a video, this is often said that imagine if this person was somebody, a loved one of yourself, and normally that would go over my head. I would just nod my head and I think, yes, that is tragic if I was to imagine. But when I watched the video, I actually did imagine, if this was my father or a loved one, and a great deal of pain came up. And there was almost, finally, those words really reached me. And for those of you who may not know what to do right now, then in some ways there's nothing to do. Life is unfolding. When there's a call to action that will arise within you, stay connected to your practice. That is exactly what I'm doing, and when there's action needs to be taken, it will arise within you, whether it's posting on social media to spread awareness, or donating, or helping out at a local organisation. We're trying to create awareness that will arise, and just simply trust in life, the unfolding of now. Perhaps I will, it'll be best to end the episode here and not mention not go into any depth about what I was planning to say earlier about so aforementioned books. That can be talked about in another episode. Perhaps it's enough to just remain on what's arising in this moment, which is a lot of the pain and suffering that we're seeing all around us. So perhaps we can end this with just checking in with our body, making sure we're taking care of ourselves. Right now there's challenges happening everywhere with the virus, and now the unrest in the demands for justice and change in America. Perhaps in this moment we can simply reconnect to the essence of who we are and ensure that this is the place where right action is manifested. And allow this place to be your compass, whether it's to turn off the TV, to stop watching the social media posts that may, there's lots of violence being seen outside, lots of brutality still happening. So So I wish you well in this moment, this one and only moment, and to simply take care of this one moment, trust in life. And I'll speak to you again very soon.